Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Good. How are you?
Fine, dear. How are you?
I'm great.
Except the camera is showing my whiskers.
I can't see your camera.
Is there any way that you can increase volume?
There, let's try that.
I can hear you. It'd be better if it was louder, but that's all right. I can say something now.
I can't see you.
That's good.
You don't want to see me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't see you though, so I don't know why
You're not seeing me?
I'm not seeing you.
I've got the
I'm
camera.
not either.
I've got the camera on, and it's on my screen here.
Can you see me, Tara?
I cannot see you
This
either.
is Janice.
I cannot see you either. Let's see. Oh, wait.
I
Here we go.
don't see any way to make a full screen. Okay.
Oh, there you
Okay.
are.
Can you see me?
I can see you. Yes.
Yeah.
But not me.
Turn on some light.
Nope, not you. Not yet.
Down in the bottom corner, Jim, is a little says stop video, and there's a red line through it. Just click it.
All right. No.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
I've got me on the screen, but not you all. Now I've got the two of you.
Down at the bottom, you don't see a mute and a stop video. Just kind of roll your pointer.
Oh, there's
Fire.
our.
There's Darlene.
Now I've got all three of you, Darlene, Janice. Huh.
That's why I came in so early, because I was having problems last year's time.
Jim, on the bottom
How's it
corner.
going, Darlene?
You're muted,
Can you
Darlene.
hear me? Darlene, you're muted.
There I am.
Now talk.
There you are.
Yeah, I had surgery last week.
Oh,
Hey,
there
Jim,
you are.
Oh.
Look
look
at
at the whole screen.
Got you.
what the heck.
How'd
Hey,
Jim get
that's
the whole?
little.
Okay,
Share
Yeah, I
the
had-
screen.
I got you guys are small and Jim is right out there in your face.
Okay, let
Me too.
me
Okay.
see what I can do
But he's
here.
black on the right. Oh, well.
Can we get him smaller? Yeah, he is black
If
on
you
the
do
right.
that share screen, does that work?
I
Say
don't-
I
that
think he's
again.
frozen.
Yeah, he's frozen there.
I'm on my screen, but it's not showing my movement.
No, you're not moving.
No, you're frozen.
You're doing a lot of thinking, Jim.
Mhm.
Says connect. Anyway, Janice, did you get the decorations down?
Yes. Did it yesterday. There were 4 of us and Dave. 5 of us. There's 6 people. We got it done.
Oh, I hope next year I can help because I love doing it.
Well, we'd love to have you, but don't worry about it. But we were really, amazingly, there were only 6 of us and we were done in 2 hours.
Is that right?
Mhm.
Well,
Tree,
that's
put away, everything.
my goodness. Did you decorate outside?
Yeah.
Hmm.
One person took those down and the others of us did it inside and it was done.
And the tree
Quite
looked good.
nice.
Yeah, I seen a picture of it, so I know it looked really good.
It was pretty. It was, we
Mhm.
did a little bit different, like the ribbons, instead of going around, we went
Mhm.
straight
Oh, well,
down.
as long.
It made a different look and it was easy to take it away.
Yeah, bringing those ribbons around that tree was really rough.
Mhm.
Oh, I see Jim trying to get his camera straightened out. Okay. Anyway, I was able to get my surgery. I'm still on,
Oh,
I'm still recouping. It was quite something else. I had to be in ICU for almost 4 days. My blood pressure was so low.
Oh.
I didn't know it could kill you. Low blood pressure. I thought only high would. But they were doing it every few seconds.
Mm. And that just, it should make you go up because it worries you so much.
I know. I mean, well, it didn't worry me because I said, hey, I always got low blood pressure. And they said, well, not this low. We got a magic quadrant meeting solution. What is that?
No idea.
I tell you, sometimes this stuff is so intriguing.
I know. And only he can do it from his end, though. I think we can't help him.
And as more people come in, maybe it'll fill it in and I don't know.
It says video or camera is still not working.
Yeah, I see that.
There's
Can you hear me?
Phyllis.
Hey, Jim, got a suggestion. Why don't you get off and start again?
Okay, I can do that.
Hello.
Hi, Phyllis.
Hi, Phyllis.
Hey.
You don't have a picture either.
No. And Jim can't get out of this.
That line across the bottom I've never seen before. It's almost like he's recording or something.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. And I hate to touch it because I don't want to mess him up.
Or us.
Yeah, exactly. Well, good thing we got started early. We still got 10 minutes for
Yeah.
everybody got here. Hello, Phyllis. I can
Hey,
see
There you
you.
are, Phyllis.
It's gonna get colder, girls, and I don't like it.
Hey,
No.
I'd still like it better here than any place else.
Well, speak for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whew. I was sorry to hear about Jim Killian.
Oh, yeah, so sad.
Oh,
What
He
happened?
I just,
he-
ugh,
he couldn't have been
he
60.
passed from COVID.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Ron had to go get
Yeah,
a
I don't know,
test.
he, somewhere around 60, but I don't know how old, but
Okay.
I mean,
It's-
the community lost, I mean, he did all these things with the referees and, I mean, it's.
Oh, years ago with
And
LePage.
so much at church, it's not even fun.
That's right. And LePage, he was active and we were active then. Yeah, just a nice guy.
He's been so, yeah. I guess he developed some pneumonia and they
That's what
had it
happened.
kind of under control. And then all of a sudden he just went, "Whoop."
That's it. That seems to be
That's
the
what's scary.
Mm-hmm. That's why we all have to be careful.
Mhm.
Amen. Yeah. I finally got my call
We
today.
can try if we,
Are you going to get your virus shot?
Yep, Saturday.
Oh, where at? You're going to
well, wow.
Yeah,
School
yeah.
of the Osage?
No, that's not until the 15th.
Oh, that's right.
This is through the hospital, but it's at the clinic down at Lake Ozark.
Oh, okay.
That's where they're sending me Saturday.
I'll be darned.
I don't care where they send me. I just, yeah.
I know.
Mm.
No. I just hope, I haven't heard, of course, I don't know, we didn't get signed up as fast as you did.
Well, I signed Ron up. I couldn't get it yet, but I signed Ron up.
Why couldn't you get it?
Well, you should be able to sign up now, Darlene.
Well, they told me not to because of the low blood pressure right now.
Oh.
Yeah.
I see.
So I gotta quarantine myself with everybody, even Ron.
Huh.
Ah, look at you, Jim.
Hey, you got it, Jim. He looks
Everybody
so
hear me?
serious.
Yes, hi, Corey.
I believe it or not, my laptop, I have 4 keys on my laptop that won't work, and I
Oh,
can't type my password.
Oh.
So I'm on my phone.
Oh, no.
Just
Hey,
craziest
Gina.
thing.
Hi, Jenna.
Hey,
Welcome.
welcome. Thank you.
Yes. Oh, there you
oh, there
are.
you are.
Yep.
He's walking around.
Well, you
Look at-
disappeared. And we lost,
What
we
happened?
lost Jim again.
And me.
yeah, up
No, Phyllis is there.
I see Phyllis.
Yeah,
Jim.
there.
I don't
yeah.
see me.
You don't see you, Phyllis?
No. I
I
lost
do.
me. I lost me.
Well, I see you,
Yeah, we see you.
but you're frozen. This
Hold
is
on,
what
Mike.
happened last week.
Truer words. Okay, it says I need to leave the meeting and rejoin it. Huh.
Hi, Gina.
Hi, Darlene. Hi, Jim. Hi,
Are
Janice.
you-
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
And we can even see you now.
I can't hear any of you. I see Gina, Darlene, Janice. Corey
Mike, turn your
Booth
speaker
is
up.
his name, Phyllis Peros, her name.
Okay.
There you go.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to touch a thing.
Everyone's just waiting to come.
But we still got a few minutes.
Oh, yeah, I know. Well, like I said, last week or last meeting, I couldn't get my picture, so I finally got on, but it was late. I
Frustrating.
was hearing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing this with the senior center too. The Zoom meetings so that we don't get together.
I'm about zoomed
Yeah.
out.
I'll bet you are, Gina.
Well, it's.
I mean, it's kind of
thankfully
nice.
we-
I don't travel as much. I didn't realize how much I went from place to place, weekly
Yeah.
or monthly. So that part's kind of nice, but maybe a balance of the two.
Well, it's so nice to see everybody, but it's really nice to be in a room with everybody.
Right. Yes, I agree.
But just think if we didn't have it, we'd all be doing nothing.
Yeah.
Man, we got to keep busy.
Yeah.
Hey,
I've been working on my taxes. That's enough to keep anybody busy.
Yay. It's that time of year, Phyllis.
I
Oh,
know.
gosh.
And this one will be really difficult.
Yeah, I wonder how this is going to work with that stimulus check they sent.
You just got a few extra questions to answer and
Yep.
yeah.
Really?
It's not, yeah.
But Ron takes care of that, so. Has everybody
we have
read their
any
minutes? Everybody's read their minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
I wonder what Luke did this last month. He's so good about doing things.
Or getting,
Hi, Luke.
Mhm.
Everybody.
hello.
Oh, there he is.
How many do we need for a quorum, Tara?
8.
Who-
And you have
Got
5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
No, Phyllis doesn't count.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
She counts.
In her own special way.
Yeah, you got it.
A different list, Phyllis. You're on a different list.
Okay.
I got an email from Gilstraps. They're at another meeting and they might be late. So we'll wait and see. How are you, Luke?
I'm great. Just got done. I've been interviewing a bunch of people actually. It's
Oh,
Already-
fun.
already starting to roll in. And traditionally, I've always done in-person interviews and said, nope, you got to come and meet me and shake my hand. But I'm doing more virtual ones and stuff like that.
Well, that's how we kind of have a balance, but yeah.
Well, and then ultimately, they're going to have to come in and do their training and tryout weekend anyway.
Right.
When I hire people, I kind of hire them basically on a temporary or a probationary period. They come in for a weekend, and at the end of the weekend, we
Right.
kind of sit down and like, all right, did it work? And it's more for them.
I was gonna say they need to know what they're added for, but you also need to know what you're.
Yeah, it's and because I hire so many people who have zero restaurant experience whatsoever. I'm like, hey, come check it out. Make sure
You
it's
may
really
not like
cool.
it.
Yeah. So.
Food service is not for everybody.
Boy, that's for sure. It's a hard work.
I grew up in it. In fact, my family still has the little fast food place. It's
Call from 17246351839.
What's that?
Mm,
Call from 17246351839.
I don't know who that is.
Not me.
So Rebecca looks like she's coming on. There.
Hey, hello.
Hi, looky there.
Oh, Teeman. Oh, there we are. We were muted. Sorry. Oh,
Well, that's two. That's two more. We need two more. 1, 2, 3. 7. We need one more.
what's the quorum?
8.
8. 1, 2, 3. Well, here would be 8, right?
Gina's. You can't count her, and you can't count Tara. Tara.
I don't count. Phyllis don't count. Tara
You-
don't.
Doesn't count. Oh.
I mean, you count,
We count. We just don't vote.
right?
Yeah. Phyllis, we're on different lists.
2, 3. Yeah, we only have 6 right now.
Number 7 or no? Luke.
They'll probably all come in.
So that's 7.
Did you hear from Paula Brown by chance? Tara?
She's
Oh,
Where's gone?
She does.
I'm sorry. No, I did not.
Gotta run back here.
He's all coached up. Look at this.
I know. Oh my gosh.
I don't think Richard will be making it unless he runs late.
He should be on here. He should be getting here shortly.
yeah, but he don't count either.
No, he
Right.
doesn't.
We're so negative.
I thought Richard was supposed to be on a beach somewhere.
No, he's been postponed again. He's having some
Oh,
hard
no.
problems.
Mm.
Paula
He
will
may
not
not.
be.
He may not ever make it to Jamaica anytime soon.
Paula will not be here. She's out of town.
Ah,
May not have a quorum.
Janelle,
Let me see. I don't think I got anything from her.
I wonder if it was confused because on this link in the email, the link wasn't directly in the email. You had to click in and find, you had to dig for it a little bit, right?
You're right. I had to fill it in.
It's not below the remote Zoom meeting. You can't click on that.
Maybe.
I clicked from
Yeah.
the agenda
I
Yeah.
know.
actually.
Yeah.
But
I
when I first opened it, I had a panic attack thinking I had to run and quickly get to City Hall. I wasn't.
Same,
I was-
same.
Good. Okay, good. We're here.
You
Yeah.
did quickly get to City Hall, just not.
Right. Right. Right.
Luke, we should get a video tour of what's happening at Dog Days.
Well, part of the problem is I'm hardwired. The reason I'm in my office instead of out in the dining room like I normally am, my Wi-Fi's down, so I had to come in and unplug my desktop computer, plug in because my desktop doesn't have a video conference. The only reason I bought this stupid laptop was Zoom.
Zoom?
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Are you
kind
still
of
in
what
that
I
teeny
did.
tiny office?
Hmm?
Are you still in the teeny tiny office?
Yep.
Yep, looks like I'm buying my own little laptop too. I came on a little earlier to let everybody know I have my laptop ready to go, but 4 of the keys on the keyboard won't work,
Oh, no.
and I can't type my password of all the things. So now I'm sitting here on my phone, but at least now I know Zoom works on a phone. So,
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
but video wise, it's a little difficult to sit here with your arm up in the air.
As long as
So
you're
you
not
can
driving.
We can make all sorts of hand gestures and Corey will never know it.
Yeah,
Oh, I can still see y'all now.
How can you see us on your phone?
we just can't see.
We just
Yes,
can't
ma'am.
see him.
I'll be darned.
There you
Oh,
are.
there you
Love
are for a second.
Max does that.
I'm here.
Can you wash those?
I did, yeah. Yeah, I threw it. He does the same thing with my bed. I mean, he just demolishes my bed.
You're a good boy. Aren't you a good boy?
Mhm.
There's a puppy.
Yeah, she's
what about-
talking to my dog, not to another human in here, just to be clear.
I figured that.
He's a good boy.
Now, I do have a question. If by chance we don't get to quorum, can we still watch the present? Can we still take a presentation from you tonight, or how's that work?
No,
No?
nope.
Oh,
Have to
well,
have-
Just to say what I'll offer is, I can just, put some of my notes, although we wouldn't want them how they are now because it's only my way I read things.
Right.
Put it in some more of like an email, like here was the highlights of what I was going to cover, at least give you something, and then I'll join you next time. I mean, but at least I get something out there, then you might have more questions for me, like what in the world do you mean by this? Or, so I'll throw that into a written email in categories, at least give you a taste of the things. And that way, if I wasn't covering maybe specific things you want to ask for, then we'll follow up in March. I mean, I can do that.
And that might be good for the folks who even don't make this, is to have that.
Right.
Not trying to put more work on you by any means.
No, I normally after that would summarize it somewhat, just like, hey, here was kind of the summary, but yeah, it's good for the minutes, that way it's something I can submit. So that's fine if that might give you a little more time to think about specific questions or different areas. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Powering off.
Do you guys need, so the next one is still March 3rd, right? Would that be right? Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and,
Well, unless we wanted to, because of this, if we want to find another date sooner and knock it out too, if we can't make this happen tonight, maybe that's
yeah,
just
you
an
guys
option,
get with everybody. Yeah.
right? Maybe it's an
Follow up in a couple weeks.
Yeah. One thing, while I got some of you here, I did track down Todd Davis, and Thursday, February 11th at 1:00 is kind of the time that works for me. If those of you who are interested, I know not everybody's interested in meeting with the police department on that, but that was something we had talked about a while back, and it took me a couple meetings to make it happen. Just Todd and I crossing wires and my own schedule. But if Thursday, February 11th at 1:00 works for people who want to go, does that work? And I'll follow up with Todd and email everybody that wants to.
What's that?
Hundreds and hundreds.
What's
Thursday.
the date?
Thursday, February 11th at 1 p.m. I may have said the 3rd. That's today.
Over at the police department?
Yeah. And he said he basically kind of give us a little tour, talk to us a little bit, answer whatever questions we wanted. Pretty similar, I guess, with the Citizens Academy that Corey's been through. So for Corey, it may not be necessarily instructive for him, but for everybody else. But if everybody's cool with that wants to be, I'll make that happen with Todd, and I'll just send it an email and say, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to make you come up, but I've tried everything. I'm sitting here with 6, 7, 8 people on screen and one just his name, but they can't hear me.
We can hear. I can hear you.
We can
can't
hear
them.
you.
We can hear you.
And I'm not
We can
muted.
hear you.
He can't.
I think
Okay,
his
I'll be up.
speakers.
Okay, otherwise I won't give up.
Jim, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Somebody write him a note and like put it on.
Yeah, there you
Got
go.
it.
I don't have a marker, right? It's like, Jim, we can hear you.
Got it.
Oh,
Good job, Rebecca.
I'm on it. Fast fingers.
Will he know to look there?
right.
I don't know.
If he's having problems, he might have
And
problems.
look, that's at 1 on the 11th.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
1 PM, if that's all right.
Okay,
At the police station?
no, that's
Right.
fine. I had written 11 and my brain would
Yeah.
not put 1 down.
Cool. And I'm gonna email Todd right now and tell him that we've settled on that.
Can hear you.
Hey, you needed brighter.
Why can't I hear you?
You need us.
He read it.
I'm not muted.
His speaker might not be turned up.
Yeah. Down in the corner.
His computer speaker might not be turned up.
There's, do you know where it is, Jim? The computer speaker? It's down on the corner.
He can't hear us.
He can't hear us? Write him a note.
That's what they're doing, yeah.
Computer speaker.
Okay,
Yes.
He's gonna get it.
Well,
They
guess
say
We
they
get
can
the
hear
boss to
me,
come in.
but I can't hear them.
you want something done right.
If you go on the bottom,
Rebecca.
do your
I
actual
don't know what
computer.
it is.
It'll say that little arrow. And then go to speaker.
What's happening down there?
This would be way funnier if we were all pretending.
That's if I wanted to mute it, but I'm not. Or if I wanted to stop the video.
We shouldn't be allowed to be in the same room when we do
Go
this.
back over to
Be
me.
nice.
We're being
See
nice.
it.
Ah,
What
we're
does
being
that
nice.
do?
to be young again.
Oh, bless your heart. I'm gonna send you money for saying that.
No, I knew I'd get paid.
No, a pampered chef item would be better.
There you go, Phyllis.
Well, we can talk about my side hustle if you want.
I don't cook.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah,
No, I stopped that when
I-
Ron retired. I retired.
good for you. Good for you.
Luke, I'll join you next Thursday.
Okay, cool.
I will try.
I'll
Now,
be dipping strawberries at Hy-Vee for Valentine's Day, so can't come.
Wait a
Look, I'll be
minute.
working my day job.
Yeah, how's that going so far?
I'll be here.
Thank you.
I'd like to
Awesome.
say hi.
Gina will be right there. Thank you, Luke. It's one, I really love it. I really love it. Lebanon is being very, very good to me. So.
can everybody hear me now?
Yep. We can hear
Yes.
you.
Now I
Yes.
can finally hear everybody.
There you
Yay.
go.
Welcome.
Yeah, Rebecca, as a Laker, we always had the rivalry with Lebanon and everything like that. But when I was in college, I did community theater there at the Cowan Civic Center, and
That's where I'm at.
got to meet a lot of folks
Oh, yeah.
through that, and really
Right.
that facility's awesome. First of all,
It's just breathtaking.
yeah,
Absolutely love it.
and I really got to meet a lot of people in the community there, and I was like, okay, Lebanon's not so bad, I guess.
We're not so bad. It's really not so bad. I'm actually impressed with how much more progressive they are than I expected.
Mm,
To tell
sure.
you the truth. I mean, as a matter of fact, their tax revenues have remained up the entire pandemic.
Oh, wow.
At one point, like 7% up. So people are buying there, but yeah, we are having events at the Civic Center, doing what we can. It's what I expected, but a lot of what I didn't expect. I'm overwhelmed and super busy, but I do love it. The people are fantastic.
Yeah, I kind of
That's good.
ran the gambit there at the Cowan Civic Center. I played Lancelot in a production of Camelot one time, and then another time I did security at a rodeo in that same building. So
We do the rodeo.
Did you wear the same costume? I'm just curious.
Wouldn't recommend it. Wouldn't recommend it. Well, if you ever need to relive the glory days, Luke, you just let me know because I have the key to the theater.
That place is cool. I have some good memories there. I did 3
Yeah.
shows there. Joseph is Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Wow.
Gloria,
Uh-oh.
Gloria's
Annie.
calling me.
Oh, okay.
Hello?
He may have the same problem with the.
I am. Are you able to get on? Why don't you use the
What?
phone and call in? How's that sound? What's the number to call in there? Okay, let me get it for you.
We can do all sorts of things.
Next time do it here, we can like.
What's the number, Tara?
Oh,
Probably answer that would have been funny.
Tara, if you go to the webinar section, and go into edit, it'll give you a
Gloria's trying to
1-800
get
number.
in.
We just need one more.
God, I might.
Yep.
Oh.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, they're
6, 7,
they're waiting for.
Wait.
Mm-mm.
mm,
1,
Oh,
2,
wait.
3,
All right.
4, 5,
Did you put the numbers in
6, 7.
for
No,
for
6,
Zoom?
7. So that'd be 8.
Oh, yeah.
One
Keep
more would be
counting.
8.
Okay, let me give you the numbers. Get on Zoom. And I'll give you the numbers.
So if Gloria shows up, Tara, does that give him a quorum?
yes,
Yep.
it does.
Okay.
No, go to HTTPS.
Oh, boy.
Can you?
Well,
everybody
while
hear
she's
me?
doing that, Tara,
Okay,
I'm
we'll
just
just-
curious
You hear what
if,
I'm doing?
how that Broncos sign behind you is going for you at City Hall, because I'm guessing people at City Hall are
You
can
know,
get on through
I
Ribbon
love the
you.
Broncos, and it's,
email.
they can do what they can say what they want.
Couldn't do
You
that.
know?
I love it. No, I totally respect it.
Okay.
You know, I got
We have
Broncos slippers too that I wear around
Okay.
here.
Go up to
Awesome.
Google and go to
Stay
Zoom.
true. I love it. I
That's
respect it. Definitely.
They keep trying to put a Chiefs flag in here, and we
Mm.
might have to have some
Zoom.
fighting words
Z
going
O
on there.
O O M. Just put.
Yeah.
You see
Okay.
it.
We caught it.
Then it should come up.
For your headset, Luke.
Yeah, I have all my gear in the car.
Are you gonna do a tour?
I've been doing a couple little appearances. The middle school hit me up, and since they have a no visitors
Okay.
policy,
They'll
Right.
ask for
I went there last year.
numbers.
Oh,
Let me give you- Let me
and
give you the numbers.
so they want me to send them a video. So I'm gonna-
984
I got a meeting with Ricky from Lake TV tomorrow. Anyway,
5922
we're gonna film
3
something to him. Oh, there we go.
Nice.
There's Janelle.
296.
Oh, nice. Well, I got smaller.
We did.
Oh,
Yeah, just-
Janelle's here. Whoa.
Yeah,
If
It should
only.
come on.
just got here.
Welcome.
Well, now we've
Oh,
got
don't
it.
panic.
And
I went to
Gloria's
eat my
coming.
cars today nonstop. And I was in the bakery getting something. And I grabbed a cookie, and then they have boxes like it's like this row like this. So here I'm walking out, and there's Carrie, and I was
Get
like,
on.
walk of shame. I'm doing it.
Okay.
Oh, there's
All
Janelle.
right,
There's
who's the
Janelle.
computer guru that can tell her how to get on this? Let me know. Because all I did was go and Zoom the address
Mhm.
and then the number that was on there.
If you, Darlene,
Yes.
tell her just to go to zoom.com and it'll say join meeting. Click on join meeting.
Okay.
And that long string of numbers that is on your agenda, that last like 9 digits or whatever, that's the meeting ID. If she types that into that join meeting box, it'll come up then.
Okay. Let me tell her. Hey, go to zoom.com. Okay. And what's next, Gina?
In the top right corner, there should be a button or a link that says join meeting.
I did her hair.
There should be a button that says join meeting.
Top right.
Top right, top right.
I think it might come in at the end of April.
And then it'll ask for a meeting ID. And that's that long number on the agenda.
Yeah, I've got the number.
Yeah.
Okay, did you? Right.
Hi, Janelle.
Hello.
I haven't seen you in a long time. How are you?
I know. Good. All good,
Hmm.
except we had a nice big flat tire coming back from
Oh,
Columbia.
no. Oh, no. That's not good.
Not good.
Well, especially since they couldn't repair it. We couldn't get a tow truck. We sat for an hour and a half. But we're
Yay.
here. We're here.
Did you put in zoom.com? Okay, did
Do
it?
US.
Did something come up?
Zoom.us.
Okay, zoom.us. Try that.
So do you have,
.us. And then it's, as far as I can see, a /J
No.
/9. No, okay. Don't confuse you.
Just if you do down to your line and say zoom.us, then it should come up. And then in the corner, it'll say join a meeting. And then it'll give you a little square and you've put in those 9 numbers. Forget the J. I don't know what they do with that.
Okay, it says join meeting. That's what you want to do. Join it. And you're going to have these numbers. I'll give them to you.
Who's having trouble?
That's, yeah, I'll give you the numbers.
Gloria.
That's correct.
We were waiting, you actually make quorum now, so we're at quorum, Janelle.
Luke, you tell me if you're, however you.
I just don't, I want to at least try this, let her get a chance to get on there and then go.
Hey, Phyllis.
Yes.
Cheers, honey.
Yes. Yes.
Well, you lucky girl.
I got
That's
coffee.
not fair.
Make
I
that-
got water.
So you say.
Launch me.
got a gin and tonic.
Of course, I'm about 20 feet from a full bar too, though, so.
Yeah, we need more for
My
our
bar-
quorum.
Getting on it.
I'm sorry?
Volunteers.
Your bartender?
He's
Yes.
getting on it.
Nice.
Janelle, your light fixture behind you is gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
I really love it.
Want to buy the house?
No, ma'am.
Great
So
idea.
my son's looking for a house.
There you go.
Send him over.
He'll be moving here the end of May.
All right, I can wait till May.
Did you get it? Did you get it? There you are.
Yay.
She's about there.
You're almost there.
Just unmute.
I'm gonna hang up, okay?
Okay, bye.
Here.
Bye.
All right, cool. I
Stupid.
think that puts us at quorum. I guess we'll
Over.
go ahead and get started with the Pledge of Allegiance. How about that? All right.
Oh, flag.
Okay.
Oh, I gotta stand up.
Me too. Whoops. Okay.
For Sunny.
I'm standing
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the
to the
republic
republic
which stands one
nation.
Under
God,
Under God. Indivisible, with liberty and
and
justice
justice
for
for
all.
all.
All right, we are officially at a quorum here. Appreciate the staff of City Osage Beach and Phyllis, of course, for joining us tonight. We're going to have a presentation. I had a meeting with Alderman Ross and Morose and the mayor and Dina the other day, and just kind of talked about the committee and kind of where we're at, and and challenges we face, and kind of just kind of open communication more with the city. And we were going to bring Gina in to kind of give us a presentation, kind of give us an overview on a number of things that we've discussed already, kind of get more into the nitty gritty of some of this detailed stuff, because stuff we had questions about as we've gone along here. And we kind of briefed her on what we've covered so far, but what questions still remain. So with that, I will turn the floor over to our city administrator to kind of give us a rundown here.
All right, well, thanks, Luke. Yeah, we did meet. I apologize, I don't have any fancy slideshow. I really intended to do that, but I'm still working on evals and budget. So I didn't get to that, but I really would like it to be more of a discussion. So by my understanding, Luke, and add to this, the group kind of thought it was important that really we kind of an overview of economic development, maybe what the city's, what the city's doing, how it's been approaching economic development, what it is, what it means to the city as a city organization, and how we as a city roll into our regional partners. It goes all the way to the state, because the state through EDA requires certain planning documents region-wide. And we are under the Council of Local Governments, which is a 4-county region. Well, then LORDAC represents 3 of those counties as well. And then obviously we have all our communities. So that's where I was going to start, is really just, what it is. I know economic developer position is kind of the granular topic that you guys have been talking about. But, before you guys make recommendations or whatever that is, understanding what that position would specifically mean is for a city, or what it would mean is in a region area. Does that sound kind of starting at the umbrella, the bigger umbrella? So many of you probably already know this, but when we talk about economic development, there's really, they always call it the four-legged stool, but there's actually a little more legs to it nowadays. But you're really focusing on an umbrella of things, whether growth and expansion and retention of businesses. That's very important to not only grow new businesses, fostering entrepreneurship, but expansion of your current business. So because the majority of your growth in most communities come from expansion of existing businesses, attracting, businesses as well as institution, because the other very important part of economic growth, whether to grow your tax base, to grow your quality of life, to grow your community, is being able to improve your workers' skills and to attract higher skilled workers. But it's like you have to have the work base to attract some of these companies, but then also retail or real estate development and redevelopment. So the city is very important, and I truly believe the reason why the city of Osage Beach is kind of your hub is because back in the 80s, our fathers and our founders then, or those in charge at that time, was very progressive in the fact that we built water and sewer way before the other communities around the lake did. So you got to start with your infrastructure, whether that's roads, water, sewer, because that has to happen to attract businesses. So real estate development, redevelopment, that involves infrastructure, but also incentive programs to attract those. And then you have your quality of life, tourism, conventions, sports events, and those kind of things that add to the quality of life. So those are kind of your basics that every community in their own way has their strengths and weaknesses that they build on. So that is really the focus of economic development. It's having a place that you're attracting talent, that you're attracting educated people, or you're increasing your education of your people. And that allows you to attract industry, that allows you to attract cultural amenities, that allows you to have entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is a very important piece nowadays, and they predict that even with COVID, that's going to spur a lot more of entrepreneurship. So how do you as communities or regions help foster new business through entrepreneurship? A lot of times the most job growth in a community doesn't always come from one big company. Now you have different areas that are higher in larger in manufacturing, but if you take the collective growth of lots of little businesses, a lot of times you can gain more jobs collectively or aggregately through that. So, and we've been pegged as a very entrepreneur-rich community. There's been several studies in the past years in our area, and entrepreneurship. People want to live where they want to live, and so therefore they're going to find a way to work. So if communities can make sure they've got broadband and water and sewer and the things that would allow them to work wherever, that's always a good thing too. So on the city side, we partner and work under several different pieces as a whole. So our Council of Local Government is a very important piece in economic development. They are our regional planning partners. They're our regional planning, our RPC that does many different things, but one of the things is economic development. And through the EDA, they are responsible for the CEDS, which is the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy for the community. And in order to participate through EDA grants and different programs that the State Economic Development Department has, you have to have an adopted CEDS document. So the partners with Council of Local Governments work on this, they update it every year, and it goes through the planning process of what's the strengths, the weaknesses, what are the long-term goals for the region. And that's a good way for then the individual communities or counties then to participate with that, so they kind of narrow it down to what's good for their community. So we participate with that as well. LORDAC, which is our Lake of the Ozarks Regional Economic Development Council. LORDAC represents 3 counties. So we have a lot of member partnerships, which are banks and the schools, the county, the cities, some private businesses. And we work in conjunction with the Council of Local Governments. Council of Local Governments is more of the government arm of the region. The LORDAC can be the private public partnership piece. And through that, we can promote regional efforts. So I kind of start with all that because there's a lot of strategic planning and data that have already been collected and working through those organizations that will help all the cities in this region identify what their strategies are. You know, economic development as far as expanding businesses, expanding infrastructure, attracting new businesses, facilitating real estate development. You know, the city has incentives, TIFs, and things like that. That all needs to play a part in regional efforts because the state knows that that's important to get assistance through them. It gives our community revolving loan funds, you know, those type of amenities there. The city itself has never done an economic development plan. Now I will say economic development is the long game. It's very much part of strategic planning, investing the time and the dollars, but through LORDAC and Council of Local Governments, we have as staff been able to know what those priorities are. And back in, I think 15 and 16, Phyllis, I can't remember who was on the board at that time because I lose track, but around the year 15 or 16, the board at the time had first talked about the position. I mean, they discussed it, but that's really when it come, you know, really to the board level. And because of budget and other things, it just hasn't materialized. But at that time, the discussion was, you know, for us to commit more to economic development. I don't want to make it sound like we don't do any economic development, but we do it across staff and with our regional partnerships. We've participated as a city in site visit simulations. We've participated with the Missouri Partnership for many things. We've done some of our own data gathering. We have a very extensive, we do incentives as well. It's very important that you have, as a government-led, that you have permitting and processing that are business friendly. You know, your marketing, you're joining your regional marketing ship. So we do that in-house, but we've never officially, the board has never officially done a full strategic plan. Usually that is what would drive your position if you hired an economic developer. That would usually gives them their marching orders on what their job would be. So we've never done that, but it has been discussed. Ours is more of the working with LORDAC and working with Council of Local Governments. So far, is there any questions about that? It's kind of the overall piece.
Okay, I have a couple. When it comes to infrastructure, you know, obviously broadband and internet access is a new piece of that, especially as more telecommuting is happening and things like that. And, you know, I know that's not necessarily in the city's purview, but is that part of that piece as well?
Absolutely. So when you're talking about infrastructure too, and one of the things, when we did our site assessment, and what that means is through LORDAC promoted a program in partnership with the Missouri Partnership, which is a piece of the state. And through that, we participated as a region in a mock site selection. In other words, there are companies that all they do is they go out and solicit cities to match with industry partners. Most of the time you see that in true manufacturing or light industry, but they're getting where they're doing that more for retail and other things like that. And that's all their job is to rank communities on how well they would fit with whatever industry, you know, wants to, you know, relocate somewhere. You know, a company may say, hey, I want to be in the Midwest somewhere. You find me an area that has this, 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 and this. And that's all these companies do. So it's very important to be in front of site selectors if you're wanting certain type of industry. Eldon really participates well with that. Versailles, because a lot of times it's manufacturing. Us as a city, we don't really have the land mass or as an individual, but we have as a community. You know, obviously Rebecca knows that Lebanon's heavy on manufacturing. Camdenton's got a little piece in our 3-county region, but Eldon and Versailles, as you know, they've got you know, the newest is the Quaker. So, but we participated with the site selectors, and they came down to our area and they assessed us to why they would not look at us and why they would look at us. So it was a way for us to learn as a region where we needed to make our focus. And it was really nice, and I pulled this up because I didn't have it memorized. Some of the recommendations, well, basically all the recommendations stemmed around regional focus. In other words, you market yourself regionally, you pull your workforce base regionally, because we all know that if a company lands in Osage Beach, their workers are coming from everywhere. Where are they going to drive from? But most importantly, when it comes back to broadband, it's the same thing. It's more of for rural areas, you have to be asset-based approach in a regional effort. In other words, how does you as a region help promote the broadband? Not just get like Ozark broadband, not just get Camdenton broadband, but we need Morgan, Miller, and Camden County, which is all 3 areas around the lake. How do we as a region approach that asset to come in our area?
A topic that's come up in this committee and several others, I've been, getting all those different entities to work together, I'm sure proves to be a challenge. I'm sure Council of Local Governments, LORDAC, some other things are attempts to kind of bring people to the same table, I'm sure, but I'm sure that's probably part of the challenge too, is different folks with different objectives, I guess.
Well, it is. And a lot of the same people that I'm on boards and committees with at Council of Local Government are the same people on boards and committees at LORDAC or the chambers. But where that's an asset is each of those groups have their specific function, or they play their puzzle piece to the whole entire area. Council of Local Governments is more of your regulated government side that does things a lot like cities do. You have to have certain things, we call it red tape sometimes, it's like you have to have certain, where LORDAC can be that private partnership that they aren't constrained by they don't have those kind of constraints. So yes, it's trying to get all the people together, but in reality in our area, those that are engaged are often engaged at the multiple levels of these. So it's like the Council of Local Governments plays a role that they can play in conjunction with what role can LORDAC support the Council of Local Governments. And then it drills down to then how do the cities, CVB, chambers, our banks, our schools, then support the regional effort, but yet at the same time, there's wins for them, because we have to think of ourselves as a whole area. And the way LORDAC and the Council of Local Governments has, I think, been successful in that, they're all member-based. In fact, the LORDAC, we just recently went through a strategic planning process. And our goal for LORDAC is to mix up or change up our investment matrix so we can have paid staff. In other words, LORDAC would love to hire an economic developer that supports LORDAC as a region. Council of Local Governments recently hired an economic development specialist for their focus to support the region. So just to have hired staff that has the dedicated time and budget to specifically do one type of task. And right now, a lot of these communities, us, Camdenton, Eldon, Lake Ozark, City of Versailles, it's all on staff as a group. So we do rely on the partnership of LORDAC. So it is challenging to get everybody together, but at the same time, I think we've been very blessed that we have a group that thinks of us as the entire region. It's not just one for yourself. And that's probably how we've been successful.
Janelle. You're muted, Janelle.
Have to unmute first.
Oh, there you go.
I understand the importance of looking at us regionally, but who's looking at us as a city? I understand that we are tasked with coming up with potential ideas to increase revenue for the city of Osage Beach, not the region. So who's looking at Osage Beach?
Well, do you mean who as in company wise, or who as in our side?
Who as in those of us that want to improve things are looking at bringing something to Osage Beach. That's why I personally have kind of an interest in seeing what an economic development person on staff at the city would do. Regardless of what ideas we present, somebody has to execute. And I don't, there's a lot of people there that have a lot of time to execute many ideas. I remember when Tim Jacobson spoke to us 2 months ago, one of the things he said, and it really stuck in my mind, was nobody cares about your city like you do. He didn't use those exact words, but he said, regionally is wonderful. But if you want to focus on your city, you need to focus on your city.
So when it comes to building attraction in Osage Beach, we've been fortunate, and we have activity. We've been fortunate that we get more calls coming into us than we've needed to solicit. In other words, we're a star on the map. And I'm going to use Hobby Lobby, almost went blank, the latest announcement.
The big one.
Hobby Lobby has been in the works for several years. Just like when Dollar General opened their second store. I can remember the first day I talked to their real estate land people when they were looking, what are you looking for, where are you want, and let's, a lot of this is behind the scenes, and those that work in it know that it's very confidential until we get the red light from the retail people. So as far as us for attracting, we've done probably more in the last year and a half, just to be more proactive about it. But we've been very fortunate that the developers want to be here, and those that want to be here have the money and the time to do their own attracting, and they know who they want in their section. So the role we as a city play is we really partner with them from the beginning, help them, walk them through, like, where do you need land? Do we have the water and sewer? How do we make that happen? What's your timeline? How do we get Hobby Lobby to build faster? Hobby Lobby already knows they want to be here. How do we facilitate them getting here faster? We basically, well, COVID kind of stalled it a little bit, but pre-COVID, we had purchased some data. I know this is the latest thing that I think is something the city has never done, because we haven't had to attract necessarily. We just had to play that incentive role after the fact. And we got matched with retailers. We kind of did the whole thing, just like LORDAC and the Council of Local Governments have done as a region. We did that on a micro level for the city. Where do our workers come from? Who lives here full time? What's their skill level? Therefore, we know how to attract certain businesses because we know what exactly the type of workers they want. And Buxton being the company at the time, they said, okay, here's your profile as Osage Beach. This is where your workers come from. They don't mind driving this far. This is, this is their age group. This is what their skill level is. And that tells them, okay, here's the businesses that will support. And then here's who you're missing. And so we did get several matches with that. And so internally, that will be our attraction piece, finding them land. Now, the city doesn't own property. That's one difference that we make for some other communities. We don't own property to develop ourselves. We have to then match what we want with developers that are willing to develop it with landowners that are willing to sell. So it's a very sensitive topic, but you're right. Nobody knows us like we do. And so to know who our profile is and to know who's here on our level, we know the CVB does tons of data that says all our visitors, and even some of Buxton did a retail or regional data grab. But it's like, as Osage Beach, who are our homeowners, who are our second homeowners, who are our visitors, and how do we match that to get the next grocery store, and how do we match that?
I think my question has less to do with bringing in businesses, although that's wonderful. But we've discussed so many things like art shows, craft shows, World War I and II, Veterans Day events. Who executes?
Well, I think it has to be a partnership. I think those are great quality of life attractions, because like I said, if you are somewhere where people want to live, then they will find a way to work here. But if you also then have people that want to live here, then they're going to work here, and then other businesses can come. And Janelle, the reason I think that is more of a partnership is because, not everything can fall on the city itself, but understanding what the community wants, then I think you engage those people that also have those same interests. So I'm going to use the Elks Lodge Parade for an example. I know it's not a big event, but it was very important. The Elks Lodge thought the community needed that. It was very important they did. And so we played a piece to help make that happen, but yet not take it under the whole city city responsibility. Let me go back to another thing you said on the economic developers. So I pulled the job description that we originally created. I've tweaked it out, and this is very similar to the job description that you would find City of Lake Ozark recently hired. There was a combo position. It's an assistant city administrator / economic developer. But when you hire economic developers, those are certified economic developers or working toward their certification. They have degrees in this. Their main goals are going to be implementing comprehensive economic development strategy for your city. In other words, they're going to proactively identify, attract new business. They're going to analyze development proposals. They're going to help work through policy recommendations, making sure our permitting process, our incentives are the best use of the city. They're going to, implement that strategy, the long-term objectives that the board or the elected body puts together. They're going to be the liaison between the business community. A lot of times they work a lot of times economic developers come out of chambers. But again, our area is a little different than a lot of your bigger areas. But so they're going to work directly with your chambers because they're going to have that engagement relationship with your business owners to help them with expansion. So those are the type of main jobs or main responsibilities. They would lead the redevelopment efforts. So for example, when a big company wants to come to the city, the first call they usually make is to me. Hey, I'm thinking about CID. I'm thinking about a TIF. I've got this big development. And then from there, we piece out and what pieces they need to. And so that economic developer would take on that role. So that's kind of what your economic developer for your city would look like.
Okay, I took a couple notes from what you said so far. This was it SEDS document. Is that what you called it? SEDS document? Is that something that's available to peruse? Is that on the website?
Yeah, I can send that to Tara and she can get it out to the group. Your SEDS it is actually we are in the process of updating it. It is required by federal all the way down to state to be redone every 5 years and adopted by the communities. We adopted the city of Osage Beach adopted it. And then every year it's updated. So Council Local Government has an Economic Development Advisory Committee. And so we're in the process of updating it right now. But I definitely can get that out. I'm making a note. So that way the group can go over it. And it does our strengths and our weaknesses for our entire region. And again, that's been what communities should be playing off. It's like, okay, here's where then my strengths and weaknesses are. Here's where my objectives for my community would be. Maybe with Osage Beach, it'd be like the objective would be, we have so many vacant buildings, we want 50% of them filled. So that's going to be a priority, or something, something like that. So no, I can get that to you guys.
And then my other question was regarding the strategic plan. You said, the city has considered putting together that strategic plan. What does that process entail? What would that look like? Like theoretically, what would that look like? How would we get from here to having a strategic plan done?
Well, there's two ways you can do a strategic plan. The most effective and the most thorough way is to hire the consultant that does that process. LORDAC just went through that process. Obviously, the Council of Local Governments actually probably would offer that service to do that for the city. So actually soliciting someone outside that's unbiased to put together, do the data, and to get your long game of economic development. As far as the minute details of the process, you would just determine what your scope would be, which wouldn't vary from much. I still have some of that data from 16. And you would put out a bid and you would hire a consultant or an outside firm. It could be done in-house, and I presented that to the board in 2016. For sure it could be done in-house, but it's going to take staff time. It's going to take commitment. Strategic plans are not something I do every day, but I do facilitate our board strategic plan now, which our board had never done for years. And so we've recently started that on a board level. So basically it is your strategic process of gathering data, gathering community input, very much like you would do any kind of other big business plan is what it is. It's a business plan that would outline the city's priorities for business retention, expansion, attraction, marketing, real estate development, neighborhood improvement, entrepreneurship, based on, we'd start with the SEDS, which is regional, and drill down. And that would outline a consensus from all the elected body based on all the data they have. It's like, this is what we want to, achieve in 5 or 10 years or whatever. A lot of times they're done in 5 years and then updated. Cost estimates, you can spend anywhere from 15,000 to 50,000. It's really depend on all the bells and whistles. LORDAC recently did it. It took several days. We had community meetings, similar. Janelle or Phyllis, some of you that have participated in previous comprehensive planning. It's just a big business plan that you would gather community data, committee data, your strengths and weaknesses. What is you as a city? What do you have? What do you don't have? And what do you need? And how's the city going to participate along with its partnerships to get those goals done? So that was my recommendation. I think the city would definitely benefit from that. Hiring an economic developer, if money was not an issue, I have no doubt the city would benefit from an economic developer. I'm not saying by not having one, we're not getting things done, but timing and more effort. When you have a specific job and a specific person that's their priority, obviously things move faster. That's just that. Cost-wise on that, given the salary range for experience, this is not a job that, train the right person. You would want somebody in there that this is their education base. They're hopefully certified. This is what they do. With salary cost, payroll taxes, benefits, would be around $95,000 at minimum. So you're looking around 100, and then plus you would have to have some operating budget, because obviously you've got to, have your employees have training and some travel and memberships and things like that. So, you're at least minimum starting with 125,000 in my opinion, based on that. But that would be a very specific, strategic, focused path. You would outline exactly, just like starting a business. You need to know what you want to do, how you're going to get there, and everybody be on the same page. And that way we know we can identify when we do have steps that, yes, this meet our plan or we need to change the plan. Hiring an economic developer, you could hire one and that be their first job to facilitate. It would still probably take some, some help on that. But LORDAC, we spent about $13,000, $14,000 for our strategic plan. Now we're in the process of implementing it, but I thought it was a very good document. It was done in conjunction with SEDS and other communities in our planning. So it was in collaboration with lots of other details, but it was specific to LORDAC.
Phyllis?
Yeah, Gina, as we all know, a year ago or so, the city hired an individual independent company called Buxton that you mentioned. Right. And, they gathered the statistics, they gathered the data, everything that you're talking about, but it was strictly for Osage Beach. It wasn't the region, it wasn't for the entire lake area. And that's what we wanted, some concentration to know, some guidance from a company. Tell us what you think we need. Well, living here, we all have our own opinions, what we need or want. Right. But when we have an entrepreneur, so to speak, and laying it out, the results have come in, and all I've gotten is just in generality of what they've come up with. And so now, whatever it is, then how are we going to be executing that? We've hired and spent $40,000 on a company to give us some ideas that were legitimate because of our area and what the needs were. So now where do we go from here?
Well, that's a multiple answer. So the city did spend a considerable amount of money. It was a 1 of 3-year project. I did not recommend to the board, as Phyllis knows, to continue the 2nd and 3rd year because COVID hit, and we got all the data we paid for. And I'll get to that, and I'll go through that in more detail. We got the data we paid for. Buxton is an analytic company. that studies based on mobile data. Used to it was Visa and MasterCard data, but it's mobile data, pings to the tower. If you got your location on your phone, we know exactly where you've been, how long you were here, where you traveled from, how you spend your money. If you're a shopper, I mean, it's really scary, the data that we got, you know. One of the categories of people, one of our top categories of the Osage Beach visitor is unspoiled splendor. Their age is 51 to 65. They're very price conscious. They're politically conservative. They're do-it-yourselfers, outdoor enthusiasts, domestic travelers, and racing fanatics. That's one of our profiles. So we paid for 9 profiles. And Phyllis is right, majority of them circled around specifically in Osage Beach, but we did also pay for a profile of the Tri-County top 5 segments of visitors. So, so we've got that granular data, how different they look. We have Osage Beach visitor, you know, where they're coming from, how long they're staying, how many pings. And I say pings, they use more data, but it's all about your cell phones. We paid for Tri-County top 5 visitors, or who the visitors are. We paid for the second homeowners of Osage Beach, where our second homeowners are coming from, what's their age groups and how they spend their money. We paid for residents. So we felt it was important to not only know where our visitors are coming from, but how many of those visitors are staying over length of time for second homeowners that are you know, aren't renting, they're coming to their second homes, and then what our residents look like. With that information, not only did we get that will help us tell us how to market, who to market to. When we're attracting visitors, we can tell, or when we're attracting companies, we can tell them, look, here's the people that are here, you know, in the summer or 2 weeks or whatever, here's people who live here. We also, one of the profiles were what's our visitors look like that are coming from 15 miles away, 25 miles away, and 30 or 40 miles away, because those are your workers. What type of people they are, because when you're trying to match with a Five Guys or Hobby Lobby, they've got a certain criteria or they won't even look at you. They want to know they have people that are driving in or they're workers or whatever. So all these profiles helps us in many different pieces to the story. It helps us telling us who we are when we are looking at a company and saying, this is why you need to be here. This is why you need to be here now. But it also helps us whether we're marketing, whether we choose to spend marketing dollars with the TCLA again, or we choose just to partner with some other marketing plan. We know what our people look like, and is that going to be the best for those marketing dollars? And in turn, Buxton took that same information and matched us with companies that fit our profile. If Trader Joe's was looking here, they know how far people will drive, they know what type of customer they are. Because we have all this data, whether you're an unspoiled splendor or stock cars and state park enthusiast, rural escape, booming, consuming. I mean, these names are funny, but there are specific types of people. We can tell Trader Joe's, this is who's coming and this is why, you know, not just traffic counts anymore. It's like, yeah, I mean, not just how many cars are passing, but how many cars are passing that's their type of customer. We got matched with 20, little over 20, but we picked 20 types of companies that fit ours. Plus they analyzed our gap analysis. In other words, what we were missing. Just because we may match with Trader Joe's, I'm not saying we are or aren't, but let's say we did match with Trader Joe's. It's not going to mean anything to Trader Joe's if we also aren't, if we're saturated with those type of businesses. So it was multifaceted to tell us, here's the 20, if you were going to go cold calling or, you know, have a marketing package, here's the companies that you're missing as a community that would fit very well. Hobby Lobby was on that list, but because we already knew Hobby Lobby was coming, and a few others were on that list, but because we already know there's commitments working on the other end, we chose to pick other ones as well. So that was the kind of data we did get from Buxton. It was basically just a retail map with some commercial. You know, they would also look if you were missing dentists or doctors or those type of facilities too. So that was very good data. I tell you another thing that it was kind of an added benefit from Buxton before we canceled the live data that we got. I also did some estimating on some of our retail sites based on location. In other words, when COVID hit, we all know it changed our retail makeup. So I did some geofencing data around Walmart, Pruitt's Point, and the mall. And I compared that to the same cell phone data from last summer to this summer. And it was very, very interesting. And because I had that live data while COVID was happening, I kind of had an idea how sales tax was going because Pruitt's Point skyrocketed. You know, people were, you know, the mall didn't, we know they were closed. Most of them were closed. Walmart was skyrocketing. So it was really good that some of that data we just don't have access to anymore because we canceled our subscription, so to speak. But we did get all the data we have. But again, when I say it's the long game, this is the basis of understanding who we are. And back in 2016, when some of the top things that I remember telling the board, it's like, if we don't know who we are, our own data, yes, Chambers and TCLA and CVS, they do, or CVB, sorry, they do all that regional stuff, but we as Osage Beach, we don't know our data. And I said, if we know that data, then we can help us tell our story the long game. How do we, or when developers come and sit across from the mayor and say, well, I'm going to look at this development and these are the stories I think I'm going to bring. We can keep part of that story, part of that conversation and say, well, what about these? Because we've already proven these would help. So it's also partnering with those developers that are coming to our door. And I was going to say something else about that and I lost track, sorry.
Rebecca, did you have your hand up there before Phyllis jumped in there?
I did. I was just trying to get the exact number of the budget for Lebanon, but here's a couple of things I know. We have a Lebanon Regional Economic Development, you know, Brian Thompson and also Ann Hopper. But, you know, that's their sole position. They're separate from the city, although they work with us. So that's an interesting thing. Anytime we talk about, I was recently asked about putting a hotel near the Cowan Civic Center. Of course, then we talked to economic development. But the other thing is that it was mentioned earlier about having these ideas about the, you know, how the Elks Lodge does their Veterans Parade, which is amazing and wonderful. But the city of Lebanon has a position that is a promotions / event coordinator. And that the person actually works under me. And that person does exactly that. You know, we have city events, we have things going on in our community, and this, you know, that person, you know, is completely plugged in and a part of all of these events, but is a city employee. So now I will say that right now at this moment, that position is vacant. So, you know, we talk about it. We got an email today about Missouri's bicentennial, and they're going to do an ice cream social day, I think in August or September. And the question is, do we want to participate? Do we want to put our name in the hat? And that's all well and good. We're fortunate to have the ability to do that. But those are the kinds of things you almost need a point person to take over and handle. And while my position is vacant at the moment, that would be the person to do it, you know, coordinate with the entire community. It's been a she in the past. You know, she's on our Route 66 festival. We have an annual festival for Route 66. She's coordinates all of that information. But again, she's still a city employee because the city understands and values those events and what those types of events do for our city and community. Now, my position, while it's tourism director, it's not just the city of Lebanon, it's city of Lebanon and Laclede County, which is also what our economic development council is in that area. It's not just the city, but it's the area, the county, basically. So I could see that being beneficial. My thought process with that is, I hate, you know, I hate to use the word unfair because we all know life is unfair, but I'd have to look into what the funding mechanism is for the Lebanon-Laclede County Economic Development Council is, but the monkey shouldn't be completely on the city's back to a degree. For instance, I mean, if the city puts in something and brings something to the area, I'm going to tell you right now, I have employees that really, really, truly need you to open up the Hobby Lobby because they are foaming at the mouth and ready to come on over. And I'm like, well, I'm okay with that because, you know, I live there. It's great. But, you know, I mean, because if you put something in and the city of Osage Beach puts something in like a Hobby Lobby, you're going to draw from other areas. So I don't know. It just seems like, you know, it's hard to put the monkey on one entity's back, especially if it's going to benefit so much more than that. Those are just kind of my thoughts. I think it's.
Oh, sorry. That's exactly why regionalism in some areas you have to keep that, because when the tide rises, everybody votes rise.
Yeah.
You know that. As far as like the event stuff, you know, if that turns out to be the priority, the board can. I mean, boards. You know, it's like this is the intent we want. If it's truly just events and that type of thing, you're right. That's not an economic developer. That's something else. So it's really just identifying what the city wants and what piece of that economic development, what piece of that puzzle do you want to focus on and what's important? And it's really identifying that if the community needs this or the committee thinks this is the piece we want to focus on and this is how we think we get there, then that's absolutely right.
Well,
I believe that. I'd love to know how much. It's kind of like we have a recreation specialist, and right now everything revolves around the parks, but they do all the fall festival planning now. They do all Easter egg planning now. You know, if we're needed for community support for something, a lot of times that department, we've kind of funneled that through the fun people at the park. They get the fun
Which is
stuff.
good. And, you know, and with our person that we had, who was phenomenal at it, it was a position that was created, you know, and she filled it perfectly. And since she's moved on, which has been a couple of weeks, you know, city events or anything related, but we have something a little bit different. So it's not an apples to apples. I mean, we have a true, you know, multi-purpose building. You know, I have an exhibition hall.
Community center.
I have an exhibition hall that has 46,000 square feet that we move dirt in like 3 times a year. We have a theater that seats 675 people. We have a foyer that can host wedding receptions, and we also house the Lebanon Family YMCA. So yeah, we got a little something different going on, but she, you know, she kind of handled and managed all that. However, I mean, if you had someone solely dedicated doing those kinds of things, it might bring some of those things back. I mean, I don't know if anybody remembers, well, I know Phyllis does for sure. We all kind of worked the Parkway events that took place during Shootout. You know, that was, I felt like, you know, as a participant and a volunteer for that, right. That those things were always, that seemed very successful and well attended. It was kind of crazy town, but it was great. So, you know, it's just a very difficult thing. And it's, at some point you have to be, I guess, unselfish, and coming from a lodging background with a tax that only the lodging folks pay, but yet everybody benefits from and nobody else ponies up. You have to not get bitter. You just have to think this is what's best. So, I just think there's a lot to benefit, but I did question, or not question, I'm questioning. I'm curious because, you know, you did have the Buxton study, and I remember that going down, but I mean, did they have specific, I mean, you should be doing this, you should be going for that, areas that they felt that, I mean, did they ever come and, I mean, I can't remember what their budget was, but I mean, did they ever come present and say, here's our findings? I know my experience has been with consulting firms and research studies that they eventually prepare some really pretty package of a report with their recommendations.
They did. The board got it because of COVID. They did not come back themselves.
Understandable.
All those multiple
Totally.
page. Yeah, it was. It's really put on my my shoulders is like, yeah, they've got all these reports and again, absolutely they did, but because of COVID, they didn't come back in person. So I just took on that as like, okay, board, here's what it is. Here's kind of the highlights. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
a lot of it was behind the scenes working. We've still got stuff that
Yeah.
we're still using with them. I
Good.
know, sorry, I want to make sure I answer, but I know Phyllis had their hand up and Corey's. got-
Yes.
Corey got up a little before
I know.
Phyllis.
Okay.
So Phyllis, if you don't
Look,
mind.
I'm not taking your job. I'm just like.
No, I was with you. I'm watching. I got my eyes on it. But yeah, Corey, if you want to unmute and you had your hand up there for a second.
Yeah, sure. So here's the thing, you know, we talk a lot about like the position and how much it's going to cost. I remember hearing that a little bit earlier, but you know, if they brought in Topgolf, I think they paid for it, right? So there's a little bit of that we need to kind of consider when we talk about how much the position might cost, you know, because if they can bring in a certain amount of development, well, they're going to more than pay for it. The second thing that, you know, we just heard about this study that was done. And, you know, when I came in on this committee and I was considering processing what our purpose was, it seemed like the goals were a lot bigger, but when we think big, we're brought back down to small because of the money and the cost and all these other kind of variables. But if we're thinking bigger, I mean, that's almost exactly what that study was all about, right? And the only missing piece from that study would have been, did it concentrate on certain pockets of desirable areas that we want to bring in development? So I know that they might have done a study in terms of, hey, you guys could use a Hobby Lobby, but did they do a study on your east side, you could do this and this and this and this based on, I mean, do we have a transportation plan, a transportation strategic guide, you know, that kind of thing? Did they do anything around that type of thing? And I don't know if they did, but that's kind of why, again, we kind of go back to that economic developer position, because that's exactly the types of things I would envision that position going forward with. You have all this data, you have this study, you spent all this money. Now what are you going to do with it? Now bringing in a bunch of community folks like us and having us sit around the table and spitball some events might not necessarily do the big things that we need to have done. It's great to come up with some events, and you know, but those aren't really going to bring the money. Those aren't going to develop waterfront on the east side. Those aren't going to bring in a hotel. Those aren't going to bring in a factory. But that study, you know, coupled with a person might. And I think that's kind of why when I raised my hand and said, hey, we need to do this developer position, that's exactly the scenario I had in mind. I just didn't realize they'd already done all these numbers and studies. And I'll be honest, we did the same studies up in Smithville, Missouri, same type of committee. We spent $72,000. We got a ugly logo as well that no one liked. You know, branding study and all these other types of things. But you know, a lot of citizens, when you walked out of the meeting room, like, what did we buy? What did we get? I mean, we got a new logo. Nobody likes it. What else did we get? And no one had an answer, to be honest with you. So that would be the big thing with this, is we did this study. It sounds like we got some fabulous data, some very pinpoint type of things that you can really sit down and do. But yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about, right? Who's sitting down and going, hey, we could use a Trader Joe's. Well, let me call them, you know, that kind of thing. So
agreed.
Yeah, I think maybe from a citizens advisory committee, that type of activity is probably outside our scope, or is it in scope? Because if it is, then maybe that's something that we need to start looking at as a group, those types of data points, and figure out, okay, well, they didn't break it down by west side, east side, north side, south side. What part of these data points?
Corey, that wasn't
You know what
part
I mean?
of their scope. That wasn't part of their scope.
I know.
We have water master plans, sewer master plans, transportation. So we know where we can grow and not grow. That was not part of their particular scope. This is just like you just said. I agree. Your data that we have is our baseline. To be used. So you either, you know, use it as a group, carry, you know, our planner is very much involved in this, myself. It's like we're tag team how we've always done. How are we using it? I mean, this is being used, you know, the group that's putting in the Osage comments, this is data that they're going to use or having, you know. So, but you're right, this is the baseline. And again, if the city outlines a specific focus, your economic developer has to be able to meet that focus if that's for sure what the focus is. I think your next step in my opinion, the next step for the city that would be very helpful, because I have no doubt an economic developer would be helpful for the city, because you're right, it's a long game, it's your end game, and you got to start somewhere to get the end game. And, you know, economic development, it sometimes is a bunch of small wins, but it's a long-term game. You got to invest the time and money up front, knowing it's going to come to fruition. You're investing in your next 3 to 5 year focus. You know, Hobby Lobby doesn't decide in May they're going somewhere and they're building next May. They decide in 2017 they're going to be in Osage Beach in 2022, and that's when they're going to open. By the way, Rebecca.
Well, and you know,
so
and there's other little tiny things. You know, like I look at like Lake Ozark, and I swear they got a spy in our meetings, because we talked about tiny houses. Next thing you know, it's on their agenda and they pass it, right? We talked about setting up a CID or some kind of tax incentive, and they just did that again over there for the Strip just the other day. It's transportation, but still, they're thinking about these things and passing them, and we're just still talking about them, right? So I don't know. It just, again, I know I'm no disrespect to what we're trying to do here, but it just seems some of these big ideas and these data points that you brought up earlier are very valuable and just might simply be out of our scope. And if they aren't, then that should be something as a group we need to start tackling real soon.
Well, I'm not going to speak for the group. I think diving in the data and acting on the data, in my opinion, probably isn't the committee's scope. But that's, you know, I'm going to turn to the chair and the. I haven't been involved at the granular level.
I
agree. I'm just talking about it from a couple of meetings ago, I think it was, where they say, hey, you guys need to start thinking bigger, you know, and well, that's bigger. But again, it might simply be outside our bounds, just simply from the, you know, what it takes to get there. Because we're not sitting at City Hall picking up the phone on behalf of the city. We're just sitting in a room once a month talking about ideas.
Well, and we're certainly in an advisory position, and I keep that in mind because I have an advisory committee that I deal with in my current position. So, I mean, it is strictly, you know, if this committee wants to do anything, it is simply a recommendation, and there's no authority. All we can do is tell the board what research we've done, you know, what we think, but ultimately, I mean, it's the city board, the alderman's position, what they choose to do. I mean, we can't help it if they don't think we're right.
You help them with the means to the end. They need to know what the end looks like.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
what are the recommendations for the means to that end?
Right. And I think that that's what they've, you know, commissioned us to do, is to do the research for them, which is our role. You know, let's do the legwork and figure it out and then make recommendations.
Well, I think that's part of the thing, though. It seems like the research has already been done. So the natural question to me is, okay, so we've done this research, you got these, you know, these data points, and what'd you do? You know, are you waiting on us? Or is there some other motion already in effect based on these things? And that's kind of, I guess that was ultimately what my question was in terms of these data points and things, because in my view, that's exactly what the mission statement was for this group when we first started. Big ideas, development, concentrating a little bit on the east side, because, you know, that's where we need some help. But looking at the city overall, that would be the direction I would want to go. But it sounds like the work's been done. So what happened, right? So, and that's kind of just, is the board waiting on us to engulf that data as part of this group and then recommend something? Or is that a separate effort altogether? And would that be, you know, is the exact purpose of a development director position to take that in and make those recommendations to the board? That's kind of what I was trying to very non-eloquently say.
Phyllis?
Yes, Corey, you nailed it for sure. And we're all on the same page in the way you're thinking. Without a doubt, from the very time that I started being my first term, all I ever heard was we really need an economic developer, but we don't have the money. The city doesn't have the money to pay for it. And I kept hearing this. And of course, back in my mind, along with several others, we'd say, well, you know, you don't have the money to start off a business, you borrow it or do whatever, you make it work, and then you let it grow. And all of a sudden you've got a huge development going on and another development coming in. It just magnifies. I think more than anything with this committee, you know, we don't have the answers of where the city's going to get the money, but I do know this coming summer, we have the annual board strategy meeting that we've had every year. And always at the top of the list is we need an economic developer. I think maybe, you know, just recommendations of how we can shuffle some money and do whatever, or look at different positions. Maybe a position we've already got, but honestly, I'd rather have somebody that's certified and is used to marketing and dealing with companies. But I'm all for it. And I think I honestly think the board would go for it. It's just a matter of, okay, now how are we going to pay for it? Let's look at the budget. And I really, really hope that this year we can get more serious and try to find the money.
So Corey, I want to tag on, and this is just my 2 cents. Luke, stop me if I'm out of my bounds, because I'm not. I'm used to having more bounds, but they're different. I'm just here as guests today. You know, thinking back when the board first, and again, Phyllis, you're on the board too. So if I have this mixed up, you know, in the past, you know, advisory committees are, you know, what's the problem? What are some solutions, and what do you prioritize those solutions that you recommend to the board? And you know, like Rebecca said, you know, what is your opinion based on data? You talk to your you know, constituents, the community, you know, forget money. That's the board and staff's deal, honestly, you know, and Phyllis, you know, every budget year, everybody's fighting for everything they want and we end up with what we end up. But I think that one of the things, and just going back quickly through my emails from the different board members, when they very first talked about calling you all together, it's like, what, you know, basically, what does the community need, or what do we as a city need to focus on if our goal is to sustain revenue or increase growth? So basically, and that's really where it gets around economic development. Our goal in economic development is what's the long game that we can increase wages, increase taxes, increase growth in the city. And you do that through different things. So some of the things I know that looking at your agendas, you know, do you market the city? That would obviously, that's a piece. You know, hire someone that's their specific purpose to help speed things along. What are your quality of life issues, like parks or events? Or do you grow your boundaries, which also is the intent to grow revenue? So I think as a community, those are very broad topics, but you as a committee, it's like, what's a low hanging fruit that we could do now? But if the end game is to totally, then how do you prioritize those things? How do you get those? So I don't think taking this data to like figure out, we want this store on this block. It's more like, well, we think all these things are important, but what's doable now? And what do we need to make the next step doable the next year? And I keep hearing the hiring of the economic developer. That could, I'm going to use an example, that could be a solution to the long game of the city making a specific priority to focus on growing economic development, whatever that would end up meaning. That's a step to make that. If, you know, events are very important, and I agree. I think that your community engagement and your community cohesiveness all boils down to communities that have events. I mean, look at Eldon, look at, you know, even from your small community, your big community, and those are very important. Nobody's saying they're not, but it's like, if that's also a prioritized step, it's like, okay, how does the city, you know, help the community engage to add a new event a year or some kind of goal? It's like, here's some solutions. And I think that's what the board's looking for from the community, specific tasks that can lead to the end game of, we want more revenue, we need more revenue, we need to increase our base, we need to increase our quality of life. In my mind, that's just my 2 cents.
Phyllis?
Well, I like the idea of having also someone, a promotional event coordinator that Rebecca has mentioned in Lebanon. And, you know, we, again, every time we brought up in the past, well, let's do this and let's do that. Well, is the city gonna guide and control this and be all the organization? No, we're talking about having subcommittees. Okay, well then how is that going to be funded? You know, again, it goes back to the community. For 5 years, I dealt with businesses with Parkway West, and yes, we had events, and it was quite successful for some time. But after a while, businesses get tired of getting knocked up and saying, hey, we need some more money to do this. When one business says, well, that will not help me at all. And you think, okay, you have tunnel vision because it's going to bring in more people and it's going to be helping your business just because they may not buy what you're selling. But it goes on. And I think you're having somebody in charge it may not be the economic developer to begin with, but a promotional event person to just organize and get it going and get some committees together, which would have to be on volunteers without a doubt, and then figure out how they can support it. If they have to charge for their event, fine. You know, that's a lot of it is, whether it's exhibits or whatever. Anyway, that's my piece. And I'm sticking to it.
Good for you. Good for you. I do want to just add that, you know, I don't want to make it sound like everything's coming up roses in my world over there. I mean, the promotions event person this was the first person in that role. The position was created. She was the first person and she was phenomenal. You know, had her hand in a little bit of everything. It does seem to me, though, coming from this environment and going to that one, I feel like because she was an employee of the city, that people took her more seriously. I don't know. It's just a weird thing when they know that someone's actually getting paid to do this job. And we all know that anything you work in, any event you work on, and grabbing volunteers is just torture. It just seemed like, I don't know if it's because the city, you know, the community knew the city was behind it because she was there. She was being paid by the city. I think they took it a little more seriously and it seemed like people got more on board. I don't know. Maybe the word is legitimate. Maybe there was just some legitimacy with the fact that the city invested in this person to handle these events. So they trusted things would get done because she was getting paid to do it.
Okay. And I understand what you're saying, Rebecca. And with all that being said, does the city have certain amount in their budget all the time that they use for promotions, you know, to help pay for the events?
Yeah, not completely. I mean, I don't want to sound as if the city of Lebanon completely sponsors every single event or her events or those events and writes the checks for them, because that's not the case. I mean, there's still committees, volunteer committees, and there's still sponsorship dollars involved. And you know, and it's interesting too, because some of the local events that occur actually come out of the tourism budget, which is a little weird for me because tourism is not in the area, it's out. But you know, there's a little bit of a mixture. I still say that because she was a City of Lebanon employee, that people took note.
I can respect that.
Yeah, it added a different element to things, and I'm still learning, and I'm still working on trying to understand the role. And but you know, she did all of the local promotions for all of the events, which, because she's gone now, I'm kind of doing that, which is weird because I'm always used to talking to people outside of the area to get them here, and now I'm talking to the locals as well, which is really a good thing for me. I mean, I'm great with that as far as enjoying the people and locals, but I don't know. I just feel like it, and maybe that's a small step. You could actually even consider maybe, I mean, why take the big bite? How about somebody part-time? Hire them on contract basis to do this or that, as opposed to a full-time employee with full benefits and full salary. I don't know.
I just think that, I think you guys at a committee just need to decide what the different solutions are and prioritize them and rank them and give them,
Great.
you know, what they are, why, what do you think that'll do and why you think that'll do it, and rank those based on the bigger picture items, like, you know, Corey was talking about, if they're bigger pictures. Okay, well, what is steps that you feel the city would get there, and why they would, why it would help and why it would get there. And again, as far as the money and the strategic, you know, the schematics of that would then fall on the board's shoulder. If they agreed with the importance and the priorities, then, you know, believe me, if the board says go, I make it happen. You know, but that's what I think the committee is like. Okay, what are the solutions? Why do those work, and why are those your important ones or top ones? And how do you, you know, that, I think that's what you would be presenting to the board personally.
Maybe I should, you know, just do some research. How about if I dig out that job description? Maybe it's all public record. I mean, it's a city government thing, so I could certainly share
I'm just
that.
saying, share with the fellow members. This is actually, yeah, that would just be as a committee. You guys just, you know, where
Check it out.
the city needs to be, and what are the steps? So.
Okay.
Janice.
There was one, when we were talking something through, I'm not opposed to an economic developer at all. But if the city doesn't own property and the economic okay, we need to do this building. If they don't own it, what do? Go talk to the person that owns property that could handle this event? Or, I mean, it seems like we don't have any
Janice,
wiggle room.
Are you asking about events to be held or attracting business?
No, well, or whatever. I mean, if you don't, we don't have a place to have an event. I mean, there's all these little things, but on a, let's say we wanted to put Hobby Lobby, which we are, and it's great, we want it, but we don't have any land for it. So in my case, the real estate person came and talked to me, and we decided we could put it up. But I mean, what if if you don't have a park, or if you don't have a industrial park, or, I mean, what does,
well, us as the city of Osage Beach, what can they do? As the city of Osage Beach, because we don't have manufacturing space, we're not going to go attracting manufacturers because we don't.
I'm not talking about like Quaker. I'm talking about, let's say you wanted,
I guess I was just using as an example. If we don't have something that we know we can't fit, we're not going to go attract it. But the attraction piece is really multi-layers, that you're working with the state of Missouri, you're working with your regional planners. It's attracting companies that you know you have a fit. Yeah, when I said the city doesn't have property, cities that own property, they buy property specifically for developing it. That looks different than those that we do not. But the attraction is still an important piece. You know, again, you can tell your story the best, but it's all about those relationships and partners that you have at the state level, your site selectors, your retail groups, ICSC, that's how the contacts I make. I don't cold call. They're not going to talk to me that way. I make connections through the groups that connect.
So like if we give them an idea and then that's to the city, then they go see if the statistics, I mean, we do all the groundwork, but that's what the economic developer would do.
No. Yeah, your economic developer is going to be the one that puts in place the strategic plan of the city. The city has got to have you cannot hire someone and say, go do, the city is the board, and are going to have to identify, okay, what is our strategic plan that we want this person to get to.
It's for the
there's some more steps than just like, let's hire someone tomorrow, in my opinion. I wouldn't do that to anybody. I wouldn't hire someone and say, here you go, we don't know. But we've got a lot of that baseline already done. So, I mean, we kind
And
of
then
have.
I had one other question. This is not, okay, when we, like developers, events. Okay, one of the biggest problems we have is that we have two cities in the same area. Do we have an agreement, or do we work with Lake Ozark as far as, okay, we have some event that will be here and there, and that happens a lot, and a lot of times we do it, but I mean, do we have anything, like if we came up with an event to work with them, or is there a lot of times we've done it where we could only go to this boundary.
Yeah, the chambers do that. The chambers have mastered that. I know, the chambers have mastered that. They do, think of pub crawl, think of, the boat things that do, so that's the one thing I say, that even we were complimented several times when different site selectors have come here, and we're hosting the big corporate people that are looking at us. We have been complimented many times about how well we work together. When the last hosting of the big corporate people from Texas, we went from Lake Ozark to us and even Eldon, to show them area. And they were like, when we can come to an area that we don't know we've crossed boundaries, we know you guys think regionally. So we're very good at that, whether it's on the level of events.
Okay, well, I didn't know if that limited us, because I remember one time coming to the city for a marketing plan, it had to be for Osage Beach. It couldn't be area wide. Is that still true?
I don't know. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Lordak, every year we.
This was years ago. I came to a meeting and we
you do have
had
to be very
make sure.
Governments have to be very specific not to spend their money outside their boundaries, but other than that. So.
That's what I'm asking. Okay. Just wondered.
Darlene, you had your hand up there.
Yeah, I wanted to know, would an economic developer help the outlet mall?
On a granular level, we are trying to help the outlet malls, but
I see it going.
Yeah.
I'm so sad to see what's happening over there.
It's leading to bigger things. I promise you.
Well, that's a good little tip of news.
Yeah.
That's a promise. I heard. I heard you promise.
Say it.
I promise it will. I'm not giving you a time frame because that's out of my control.
Good deal. That's
Well, Gina-
optimistic. I like it.
Mr. Morris,
Yeah, what, I don't know if Gina knows this. What percent of the city's income comes from the sales tax from the outlet mall? Just ballpark.
Well, I don't know that right on top of my head. It's very lower right now. There for a while, up until COVID, the outlet mall, even though, retail goes through its own retail stages. When you first started seeing stores go vacant in the mall, it was really the national effect. When Route 21 nationally closes, they all close. And so if you followed some of those stores, a lot of those, just the national trends, back in the day, I can't even think on top of my head, some of the stores that when I went, worked at the mall. So you have that natural movement in and out, but with COVID, it obviously changed stuff. Even right before then, it changed stuff. Before then, like I said, when I was kind of playing with that data that Buxton gave us, the visitors and the cell phone data and the spending in the mall was still comparable, if not higher than Pruitt's Point at any given time. But obviously during COVID, that totally changed that for the first time in a long time. So I don't know what percentage, but we're very versatile right now. If this was going on with the outlet mall 10 years ago, the city of Osage Beach would be hurting. We were very fortunate through COVID that our sales tax continued to increase. We are very fortunate right now at this point in time, we are 11% up over last year still. And that is very, very good news for February because that's December shopping. So.
Okay.
I remember, because I'm gonna, show how old I am, but I mean, way back, way before your time with the city, Gina. When I worked, I think it was when I worked there. I think that the city had actually, the outlet mall was thriving. I mean, when they said 110 outlets, that's what it was. And I feel like the city had insured the outlet mall because the sales taxes were just so enormous.
It wasn't insured on the outlet mall.
Okay.
Up until the last decade, the city would have loss of revenue insurance because a majority of our sales tax would come from the outlet mall. But because of the last, and I'm gonna say decade, but Rebecca, I'm with you. I'm getting ready to have my 20-year here. So I'm not sure where I've been in the last 20 years, but I feel like I've only been here 10. So even before then, maybe 15 years ago, we really started diversifying. And so there come a time where we didn't need to spend that anymore because it was Walmart and the outlet mall. And if a tornado took out either one of those, our revenue would tank. And so we had, kind of like what businesses have, loss of revenue, not on a specific building necessarily. And we fortunately don't need that because we are very diversified, which you want to be diversified so you can weather economic ups and downs. So.
I'm really not appreciative of the fact that you just mentioned that you're going to be there 20 years and I was there way before you. Not really.
All right, Rebecca.
We're not friends any longer.
Maybe really it's 10.
I mean, I worked for the city when I was 10.
Well, so Luke, where are we going to go for next meeting? What are we going to try to concentrate on?
That's a good question, Phyllis.
I have a suggestion, Luke. I have a suggestion because I feel like I was very sporadic. I didn't have any formal laid out,
No, and I know we started the
questions. Yeah. So think about questions you have. Anything I can clarify, anything that I didn't clarify enough, you want to dig down. I'll be happy to answer those, whether that's at a meeting or through email or something, and that might give you direction.
Yep. And like I said, I want to take a look at that SEDS document. And then is the Buxton data, is that available that like we can look at just to look? I mean, as you mentioned, we maybe don't need to parse through it and go to the detail, but to me personally, I just think I'd find it interesting, have some light, bathroom reading or something to check out,
Well, I will share both those things with Tara. I will tell you, and I get this question. There are no identifying retail listed in this because of confidentiality. When you want to solicit, attract, hunt down, whatever, those are very confidential one-on-one conversations and competition with land and where locations are. You don't want real estate. There's a lot of ins and outs with that. And so that you will not find that.
Yeah, because like I said, the data, especially the demographic data of the workforce and the visitors and stuff like that. I will also pretty interesting to me in my, in my line of work, just as, business, as a citizen, it's interesting to me just for curiosity's sake, but as, as a business folk, and I wonder if other businesses around Osage Beach would want to have that knowledge, if that's something that they can use in their, their strategic plan.
I'll put together some data documents. There's a couple of things that come to mind that LORDAC has recently done that also might help the group. Anything that can help you narrow down what you think a specific solution is to help the city grow its tax base, which ultimately is growing businesses and people. That's anything I can provide you that helps you make those, prioritize your suggestions or recommendations of the board. Let me know.
Cool. This is the latest we've ever gone so far. So Corey, I'm gonna grab your question while you're up. And then after that, I would take a motion to adjourn.
Okay, well, before you do that motion, we might want to approve the minutes. But
oh shoot,
yeah. The only other question I would have, I know one of the biggest struggles, I know one of the biggest concentrations in I keep bringing it up, but Smithville, it's really my only experience at this level with city initiatives. One of the biggest things they really wanted to work on was to expand water and sewer. I know it's been mentioned here. That's kind of what made me think of it. So with that, do we have issues with lacking water and sewer infrastructure in key areas, or are we good to go? And
I will say that in the 80s, we built our sewer first. I will not take long. I know everybody's wanting to go up here. We built our sewer first and then our water, which is usually complete opposite of 99% of communities building infrastructure, but because water usually is your cash cow at some point. We were very diligent. Those planning, that was very diligent. We have more growth on Turkey Bend still. We have growth down D Road still. You know, we have some areas that we have growth. We are 98, 99% built out to our borders. Plus we have outside city customers. And every time we expand, we always build with that growth plan that we've done for, so we can grow. We have capacity, I guess, either way.
Okay, thanks. Just curious. Again, going back to the keep using these bad terms, but east and west, right? Just wondering, is there a lack of infrastructure over there? Is that one of the reasons or something like that? So anyway, thanks.
Corey does bring up a good point. I was so excited to have Gina speak to us. We kind of got rolling once we got quorum there. So I guess if everybody's had a chance to look at those minutes, Corey, perhaps.
Leaving.
Thank you. Hey, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So hopefully everyone has, because I'm going to go ahead and motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
I'll second it.
Okay, Janelle, I heard Janelle first on the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. And then I will take that other motion if anybody's got it.
How about next meeting?
Yeah, were we looking at?
March.
March 3rd, wasn't it?
March 3rd.
Yeah, it lines up again on the 3rd again.
The third of-
Via Zoom.
Anybody want to meet in person?
I think it's safer.
Well, I as long as there's no requirement to meet in person, and this seems to be a lot more flexible for everybody. I guess the question is there any pressure to meet in person from anyone for these meetings?
I think there is something that is lost in Zoom meetings, just a little bit.
That's true.
But at the same time, you're right. It's a balancing act, because there are advantages to having the Zoom, because even if I'm out of town, if I happen to be out of town, I can still participate and those things. And so there are advantages and disadvantages. At this point, we've been able to come to a quorum every time through Zoom. I don't know. Any other thoughts on that?
I like sitting.
Can I make a motion
Yes, ma'am.
to adjourn?
Zoom. Figure out Zoom or non-Zoom.
Yeah, at this point, we got to figure out the Zoom or non-Zoom, and then we'll do that real quick. So, Janelle, I know you're in favor of the in-person meeting, and so am I, and I get where you're coming from there, but I just don't know if that's going to be able to work out.
I'll do what everybody decides.
Okay. So
yeah, I don't. Are we under any kind of restrictions at all that you're for in-person meeting? Oh, okay.
Nope.
So
I think at this point, it's just been our decision as a committee that this is what we kind of shifted towards this. I think it's kind of working out. So
I'm perfectly fine either way.
Okay.
So what's the decision?
Well, I guess we want to take a vote on it.
Me as well.
Was there a motion? I would do a motion.
Right. Yeah. That's I was looking for. I was going to say I'll take a motion to have the meeting on March 3rd via Zoom.
All right. I'll move that our next meeting is on March 3rd via Zoom.
Second.
Got a second? Any discussion about that? Or take a vote? All in favor of March 3rd via Zoom?
Aye.
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 All opposed?
No, I just,
I'll abstain.
I said it, but nobody.
I got you. So I think,
Can I get you guys to raise your hands, everybody that's for it?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Better.
All right. Thank you.
and then Janelle abstained. All right. So we will be here back. So it looks like motion carries, and we'll be back on March 3rd via Zoom. And then
Can we
Darlene?
get, if you get that, those things that, like the SED and all those different things, can we get them before the meeting?
yeah, I that should be,
I
I
mean,
imagine we'll
that
get that.
packet, so we have some time.
Yeah, I anticipate we'll get that in the next couple of days would be my guess, right?
Yeah, as soon as I get it from Gina, I'll shoot it out.
Cool. And then just because Georgia and Janelle were a little bit late coming in here, we talked a little bit before we convened. Next Thursday, February 11th at 1 o'clock at City Hall for the meeting with Chief Davis and get the police department. And
Right.
I sent that off to Todd in the middle of this meeting to confirm he was open the last time I talked to him, but just make sure that hasn't changed, and I will confirm that for those of you who want to come next Thursday for that.
What time?
1 p.m. at City Hall, and that's in person,
Oh.
not Zoom.
Luke,
Yes, ma'am.
I still think it'd be a good idea. It wouldn't do any harm if Rebecca that she offered of the job description of that promotional person. I think that'd be good.
Yeah, send that, if you either send that to Tara or myself, and we'll make sure.
Yeah. That'd
That's
be
a great idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Am I missing anything? Did I skip any procedural stuff that I'm?
Yes, you mentioned, you forgot to mention Go Chiefs.
Oh, right. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Tara's gonna make sure that gets in the minutes, right?
Yeah, Tara, Go Chiefs.
Right. That'll be a big font, Broncos.
Who said that?
Good luck passing those minutes.
Yeah.
All right, I'm okay with it.
All right. Darlene, did you want to make that motion to adjourn? You're usually our adjourn lady.
I make a motion, we adjourn again.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. We'll see some of you guys next week on Thursday, and the rest of you will see next month on the 3rd.
Okay.
That's great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Tara.
everybody.
Thank
Tara,
you.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for working late and helping us out with all this. I appreciate you.
Anytime.
Yep.
Talk to you guys later. Bye.
Night.
Night.